Hello, and in this tutorial, I'm going to be covering JQuery. Now then, what is JQuery? JQuery is a JavaScript library. It's probably the most popular JavaScript library. And I would say that like most websites that use JavaScript also probably use JQuery. And the reason why is that JQuery contains a bunch of tools that make integrating JavaScript into HTML much easier, as well as faster. With JQuery, you can write less and do more. And the main things you can do with JQuery is that you can do the HTML DOM manipulation much easier. You can do HTML queries, which is why it's called JQuery. You can do CSS manipulation much easier. It provides event triggers, and you can do multiple event triggers, and it simplifies AJAX calls. It also provides libraries for performing simple animations, and as well as can detect when elements are loaded or in view and such. So let's get started. So the first thing is you need to know how to add jQuery to your website. And there are two ways to do this. First off is to go to the jQuery website, and you have to download jQuery. Once you've downloaded jQuery, you just put it in the same file location as or not the same, but just put it into your project. And then in your HTML documents, you add the script. Type is text. Type is text JavaScript. Okay, and source is equal to, and then there'll be the name of your jQuery. So if I download this, so I do save to my desktop. I'll also copy the name here. And now if I go into my desktop, here's the jQuery file right next to my index file. So I can just type it in right here, the name of the file. And now jQuery will work in our HTML file, and I can demonstrate. So if I don't have this jQuery, if it's not here, and then I try to do the this function $body. Refresh the page. Is it built into CSS, HTML? Okay, so I'm guessing that jQuery is built into the inspect element. But okay. But yeah, so this is how you include it by downloading. This is really not recommended. The more recommended method is to do something like that. Oh, and you forgot the closing script tab. The recommended method is to do this, is to get what's called a CDN, Content Delivery Network address. So in the SRC, you go into Google and download and you type in Google jQuery CDN, and then these are, and so Google hosts different JavaScript libraries for different things. And right here, this is the code snippet for jQuery. So let's grab the latest version of the jQuery and then paste it here. And now instead of having to download the jQuery file, we're using the jQuery file hosted by Google. And this is recommended because Google's website system, its content delivery network, is usually much faster than whatever server you're hosting your website on. So it's recommended to do it like this to get better results and like more performance. And so now to test this, let's have a let's do this. So in our body, let's have a header tag, and let's say JQuery tutorial. Okay, and then in here, so okay, first off, is a function provided by JQuery, and that is the ready function. So we can say $. Well, the first one would be the $. So I'll explain this after I type in this. Okay, and then we type in let's also create a button. So input type is equal to button value is equal to hide. So if we refresh the page, okay. So when the document is ready, and we grab the input dot click function, let me grab the h1, all right, so it's an h2 dot hide. Okay, that's it. All right, okay. So now if we click the hide button, nope, that did not work. Why not? It's an h2, reads the input. Then the console's not returning any errors. Okay, so I guess I was mistaken here. Maybe we have to use another script tag. So script /script. Then here we have the code, save, refresh, and oop, okay, now it works. So when you click the hide button, the title is hidden. So what's happening here is, first off, is this $sign function. So this is basically a selector, and in our normal JavaScript, if you remember, you need to use a complex line. You need to use document.get element by ID, or get elements by class, or get elements by tag name, and I need to write like a long line just to grab an element. But here with jQuery, you just type the $sign and then the open and close parentheses, and then inside you do a CSS query. So like in CSS, if you put in the name of a tag, it will look for all the tag. If you have like this h2, if we give it a class name, so class is equal to title, and then we want to select it using the title, instead of h2 we can type in dot title, and then refresh, and now works just using the class name. And then if you're changing it to an ID, you do the hashtag. And then all the selectors you would use in CSS, you can now use in jQuery. While in JavaScript, you have to use the specific function get element by class name, and then get element by ID, and then all that. So all that has been simplified to just like this one thing, basically 3 symbols. And yes, so the first line, we're grabbing the document, and then the .ready basically means that once the .ready is when the object has been loaded. So when the page has been loaded, we can now run this entire function. So the reason why we do this is that if you recall back to our JavaScript lessons, we would sometimes have errors because we wrote some JavaScript up here that was referencing something down here. But because JavaScript goes top to bottom, it would like try to reference something below it, but that thing hasn't been written yet. So we have to sometimes move the script all the way to the bottom of the page. And that causes confusion. So with this document.ready, we don't have to do any of that. So the JavaScript will wait until the entire HTML has been loaded, and the entire HTML document has been loaded, then it can run all the JavaScript. So we don't have to make it, you don't have to put it at the bottom. It will wait and then it will run. So that's what this dot ready is. And then right here, we select the input, which is the hide button, and then dot click, which is an event listener, and it listens for a click. And then when it does, it runs this function where it grabs the title and then it hides it. So this would have been like 3 times longer if it was written in pure JavaScript, but using jQuery, it was only a couple lines long. Also with jQuery, with the selector, you can select multiple elements because again, it's using CSS. So if you input, you can also do like a dot title. So if you click on the title, that it will be hidden. So all the CSS selectors, you can do it like this. And then the on click, this event. I'll cover events later, mouse events. Or actually, and let's cover all the events now because we can do it. So okay. So to demonstrate, let's change this hide to toggle. And now if we refresh, if we click the hide button, it appears and disappears. And so let's show you some of the different events. So you have click, you have DBL click, which is short for double click. So if I double click, the button doesn't work. You also have mouse enter. So if it enters the thing, it appears and disappears. Mouse leave, mouse down, mouse up, hover. You have focus, blur, key press, scroll, like that. So you have all these mouse events, and then you can also have multiple mouse events at the same time using the jQuery on function. So the on function, we can do it like this. So on, and then right here we can say on. What would it be? So you would do like on click, and then we can also say on mouse enter. Mouse enter. So if it enters, and then if we also click, it will hide and show. So like this, we can have multiple events. All right, so we have those. You can also do you can also do animations like this. So let's have it like on click. When you click the button, wanna make it appear and disappear. But instead of it being a toggle, we can do the you can do fade. So you can type fade toggle. I think it also has like you can input like fast and slow and such. But if I do it like this, it will fade out, fade in and out. And then just like that, you also have a slide toggle. So if you refresh, it will slide in and out. And then you also have an animate. So the way that animate works is that okay, so dot animate. To cover animation, well, first actually let's cover the CSS function. So with jQuery, you can also do the .css right here, and then this is just like JavaScript's .style, except the thing with .style is that the names of the style elements are different than the way CSS names them. Like for example, in CSS, if you wanted to do background color, you would type in background dash color, right? And then you would set it to like red, for example. If you wanted to do this same thing using pure JavaScript, you would type in document.get elements, document.get elements by class. Get elements by class, and then you would type in title, and then you do dot style dot, and then its background color would be like this: no dash, capitalize the C, and then you type in red. So okay, so look how like short this is compared to this, essentially. And then if you wanted to do multiple, you have to basically copy this line again. So you would do this, and then you can do like a style, position, make it absolute, like this. But if you wanted to do multiple style changes using JQuery, you have to do it like this. So you would create an object, and then in here you would say, let's say, okay, let's change the background color to red, and let's add spaces right here. And then what else can we do? We can change the color, the text color, to be white, and then we can also change the size. Or what is it? Is it just size, or is it font size? Okay, let's change. Let's change the font weight. It is font size. Okay, let's change the font weight instead. So font weight to be normal, I believe. And then now if we refresh this, yeah, that's it. So now if we refresh and we click, oh, we have an error. What does it say? Oh, we have an extra semicolon. Oh, okay, that's right. So I use semicolons by here when it should be commas, because it's an object. It's a key value, and it requires commas, not semicolons. Here you go. So now it works. See? So now we've changed the style using a single button click, like this. And then if we wanted to do this with regular JavaScript, it would have been multiple lines. Okay. So what if you wanted to toggle back and forth? Then in that case, I would grab this, and then I would, in the style, I would do a class and just call it like the test class, right? Whatever class name. And then let's type background color red, color white, and font weight normal. Okay. And then in the title, we can do two things. So let's do toggle class and then test. So now if we hit the button, it now toggles that class on and off. So you can see right here that class is added and removed. So that's a toggle class. You can also do something like this. So instead of toggle class, we can grab this. We can do an if statement. So if, or actually, let's do var title is equal to this. All right. And then we can actually move this out of the onClick function, and then we can say if title dot has class test. So if it has the class, then we do title dot remove class test, else title.add class test. So this is the same thing as the toggle, but I'm just here to demonstrate the has class, add class, and remove class. So if our title already has the class, it will add it, and if it will remove it, and if it doesn't, it will add it. So it's the same thing as the toggle, but here I'm just demonstrating the has, add, and remove. All right. Okay. So then, you can now do an animate. So let's undo this let's undo the class stuff and go back to the .css that we had earlier. All right. So instead of the CSS, you can do .animate, and then it will apply all these CSS functions, but we can also give it a time. So it will take 1 second or 100 milliseconds. So if you click hide, okay, did I do that incorrectly? Okay, I see the problem. So jQuery won't animate any of these because there's nothing to animate. It's just either it's red or it's not. So it's not really, can't animate that. So what we can animate though is changing I suppose we can change the font size. So we can do font size is, let's make it 20 point font. So there we go. Let's change it up to like 40. There we go. Okay, so now it's animating. So like this, you can add animations and such. Also, I just use the JavaScript. I can change it to font size like this, I believe. Yeah, that works too. So you can use the JavaScript or the CSS style. So that's all the CSS animations, all that. Let's get rid of this button and let's get rid of these as well. So okay, so the next thing is the DOM manipulation, essentially. So with JavaScript, you can add and remove items before and after. So okay, so let me create a div with a class called test, right? And then in our styles, let's define a test as having a background color of red, width of 300 pixels, height of 300 pixels, and refresh. All right, save our box. Let's also define two more. We'll call these test1 and test2. Okay, and then these are going to be red, green, and blue, and it's going to be 200 and 100 as well, width and height. So okay, so now let me show you the DOM manipulation. So let's grab our div element that we called test, and then we can do .append, and then we can append some HTML. So we can do div class test1 needs to be in single quotations, test1 versus div. So now if we refresh, we have this. And actually let's bring our button back. Input type is button value press, and then let's grab this and let's put it inside the button. So input dot click, and then we create a function, and then here. Okay, so now if we press, it will create as many div elements as we want. So there, okay, so you have the append, And so the append, basically it adds an element inside the whatever element we have. So we take our div and we put another div inside it. So if I press here, you can see we have a div on the inside. You can also do prepend, and let's make this test2. And what this is, so append, if the element already has a bunch of elements inside, append will add it at the bottom, and then prepend will add it at the top. So it needs to be blue. So as you can see, even though the blue test2 is after test1, because we called prepend, it's appearing above it. All right. Similarly, we also have, if you want to put something outside, not inside, you have a before and after. So before, we'll put it before the element, and after will be after the element. Simple enough. Then you can also do remove, which, you know, removes the element that you specified. So if I type in dot remove and then give it a selector like this, then we'll remove that. So okay, so you can also move objects about. So let's grab our test and then let's make the position absolute, so it's easier for us to move it around. Then when we click the button, we can give it something. So let's so test, grab test, and then we can define the height to be 200, decrease the height, and then let's make the height 400, and then let's make the width 200. All right. And then you can also, if you want to move it around, we can set the offset. So we replace this with offset, and we can change it to 200, 200, or let's make it 100, 100. And offset basically will move it, I believe it's move it to the right by 100 and down by, let's make it 200. So move it to the right by 100 and down by 200, I believe. So okay, that's right. The input needs to be at the top. Okay. Okay, let's grab our input and make the position absolute, and then bottom 50 pixels. Okay, so that way that our button will be at the bottom right here, and then when we click on it, it changes the size, and it did not offset it like I believed it would. That's because the offset, we need to define it like this: left 100 and then top 200. Here we go. Now if I click press, nope, we have an error. Argument list. Okay, so the offset needs to be in a list. So this here, that here. Okay, there we go. Now it should work. Here it does. So we've changed the offset like this. So this is changing the size of the elements using JQuery. Then what else? You can also do the same thing as the append and prepend, but instead of placing, you can grab elements. So there's a bunch of ways to do that. Okay, let's do it like this. So when we click the button, okay, let's have a test, and then on the inside, let's create a bunch of elements, and these will be test1, or let's say test2 since they're smaller. Let's have 3 test2s, on the inside. Okay, and then on the outside, let's have a test1 and a test1. And let's not make this absolute anymore. So okay, so now we have 2 test2s on the outside, 2 test1s on the outside, 3 test2s on the inside, and then the test. So the children, and then if you want to grab the second one, we actually have to do an index. So you need to do this .eq, and that basically is like a equal. It's like the square accessor, but for JQuery. So then we would grab the first, which I believe is the second, because it goes 0, 1, 2. And then we would do like CSS background color is black. So if we refresh and press, there you go, the second one becomes black. If we want to make all of them black, then all of them are now black. And then I believe you can also do first to make the first one black. Here you go. And then same thing with last. Okay, and then on top of that, on top of children, you can do the same thing with parents and siblings. So if I do .parent, the parent of this would be the main body. So the body is now black. And then you can also do next. And then that would make this black, like that. So that's so you like that you can traverse through elements. So if you have like some jQuery code that creates a bunch of div elements, and then you want to be able to like move around the div elements, but you can't say precisely, then you can use these next, previous, like that to move between them. So let me demonstrate the power of using jQuery by doing a simple project. Oh, actually, that actually reminds me, I forgot one more thing you should know, and that's the you can change attributes. So okay, so bring these back, and let's only have just test. All right. So then, okay. So in the test, you can change the HTML. So like this is, if I do this .html, this is the same thing as .inner HTML, and like this I can add test. Like this, you can add HTML elements inside, just like with inner HTML. You can also change text. You can change you can apply it as like raw text, not as HTML. And then you can also do if I changed it, so if I do input, and then I can change the .val, and I can make it say test. So now, here the value is equal to press for the button. So if I click it, it should have changed, but then input. Oh, that's because. Okay, that's right. Okay, that's because I did this incorrectly. Okay, so the value. So this is for text inputs. Okay. Let's get rid of this absolute, so that appears at the top. Okay, and then let's change this to text. Okay, so we have it as a text. Then we click on okay, so it does work with the buttons. So then just have it not saved. So like okay, so with the .val you can change the value right here. So it went from press to test. All right, and then finally you have you can change an attribute. So to demonstrate, let me change this div to an image. So img src is equal to, and then let's not have an image. So right here we have no image, And then when we click on the button, let's have it load an image. So we can go search for an image, and then we change the ATTR attribute, and then we would change the source src to, and then right here in our images folder we have a clock.jpg, so we would change the source to clock.jpg. So now if we click on the button, nope, it needs to be images/clock.jpg because it's in the images folder. So we click on the button, our clock is now appeared like this. Let's change the width, so img, well, let's change the height actually. 100 pixels is too small, let's make it 500, and then add a break after the image. All right, and now we have this button, and when you clicked on it, it loaded up that image. Here we go. So okay, so now that you know the change attribute, we can now do a small project where let's create a simple slideshow, basically, where it runs through a set of images, and then we can also have two buttons that will go to the previous and next image. So first, first in my images right here, I have loaded a set of couple images. So I'm going to go into the source right here, and I'm typing in images/img space 1.jpg, and so this will load this image by default. All right, and so okay, so now first off, we need to create an array object. So var images is equal to array, and then this array is going to be the names of all the images. So we got img1, img2, img3, img4, and img5. So first test if that works. So in our console we type in images, and nope, not that, images. Okay, did not work. Why? Our images. Okay, let's move this out of the document ready. Oh wait. Oh, it's because I used a capital I. Alright, good. Let's move this back. No, okay, so I did have to move it out. Okay. Okay, so let's move it out. So now we have our array. And then when it's ready, we want to do a set interval. So set interval function, and we're gonna give it a time of let's give it a time of 1 second so we can see it in action faster. And basically what we want to do is we want to first grab the image and then attr source, and the source is images plus the array, and we want I of the array. Okay, and then so the set interval, we wanted to do I++, so we'll iterate, so we'll go from the first one, second to the third to the fourth, and then we want to set the variable I to be 0, and then we say that if I is greater than 5, no, it's greater than or equal to 5. Then we want I to be 0. So it will start at 0. It will go through, and then when it reaches 5, it will reset back to 0. So it will go through with image 0, 1. It will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way and then back down to 0. And so let's test it. Okay, there you go. So every second, the image changes. And actually, the first second, it takes double the time because we've already loaded the first image by default. So let's change this to the last image, so that way it's more accurate. And now finally, we need to add the input buttons. So we have a previous and a next. And then let's give it a class of previous and class of next. And so these, when we click on it, goes to the previous image and the next image respectively. So then outside of our set timeout, let's save it as a variable. So previous is $$ dot quotation marks dot prev, and then var next is $ dot next. All right, and then so now we have these. We basically want to manipulate the I. So we would say that prev dot click function. So when you click previous, we want I to go down. Then we say if I is less than 0, I is equal to 4. So that way, if it doesn't go into the negatives, it circles back around. Then we do the image thing right here. And then we can just copy this and paste it, and then do the same thing for next. Except that it's I plus plus, and then if I is greater than or equal to 5, return I back to 0. So now if we click, let's first slow down this to 5 seconds. And then if we click next, it cycles through all the images. And if we click previous, it cycles backwards through all the images. And so like this, we have a slideshow that the user can also manipulate as well. So if we wait 5 seconds, it changes images. And so like this, we've made a fairly lightweight, simple slideshow in a couple lines. And you can use CSS to like change up all the style to make it like more professional. You can have it like fade in and out and all that. So that's it for the jQuery lesson.